Hey guys, today I want to talk about a hidden gem indie game known as Spark the Electric Jester. The demo for Spark the Electric Jester 3 just came out on Sonic's birthday, and I haven't seen many people talking about it. Probably because of the date that the demo came out, but that's what we're going to talk about today. If you're unfamiliar with the developer of Spark the Electric Jester, or the series as a whole, I'll fill you in. Lakefepard, the developer of Spark, used to make Sonic the Hedgehog fan games. Some include Sonic before the sequel, Sonic after the sequel, and Sonic Chrono Adventure. If you're in the Sonic community, you've probably heard of these games. Well, the developer Lakefepard went on to make his own original game series inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, and Kirby, now known as Spark the Electric Jester. He's currently working on the third installment to the series, and all I have to say is if you're a fan of the Sonic Adventure series, you're probably gonna love the third game. I played and beat Spark 1 and 2 already, and I think they're pretty solid games. Spark 1 is a 2D platformer that plays like a fast-paced mix of Mega Man and Sonic. It's a really fun game that combines platforming and combat. Spark 2 transitions over to 3D, introducing the core mechanics of the first game now in a 3D environment. While I wasn't the biggest fan of Spark 2, due to some of the level design and inconsistencies I had with the controls, the third game seems to be addressing those issues and expanding the formula of the second game. With the demo for the third game out, there are around 14 different stages that you can play, which really gives you a nice feel for the game. The gameplay seems to have been greatly refined since Spark 2, making things feel a hell of a lot more polished, and I would even say it plays more like Sonic Adventure 2. While controlling Spark, you feel like you have total control over his movement and speed. My favorite moments of the game were these little Mach speed sections where the game focuses on Spark's speed and momentum. There's this mechanic where you jump a lot higher if you jump off a ramp, kinda similar to when you hit the jump button on a ramp in Sonic Adventure 1 or 2. But in Spark, you have full mid-air control over Spark, and the way your momentum carries you feels incredibly satisfying, probably because you can jump again to get even higher after you jump off a ramp. The amount of control you have over Spark, whether you're going fast or carefully platforming, feels nice and tight, and this is needed for the type of stages that you'll be playing. My favorite ability in this game is the Jester Dash. It acts like a homing attack from Sonic Adventure, except better. Here, you still have full vertical and horizontal control over Spark after jumping off an enemy. You can control him in any direction and are even granted a double jump to project yourself higher up or further off to a new enemy or spot of interest. The amount of control you have over Spark after performing a Jester Dash gives you a sense of flight, which you are rewarded after Jester Dashing off an enemy. Since the physics feel nice and smooth, it's super fun and rewarding to try and keep yourself afloat for as long as you can. Unlike Spark 2, Spark 3 appears to have a variety of different objectives for the different stages that you'll play. Instead of just heading to the goal, some stages will have you searching for medals, destroying things to build up your score, and racing against the clock. There's even a kart stage in the beginning, which also feels nice and tight to control, and while I hope there are more stages like this in the final game, I don't think having a kart stage as the first stage of the game sets the right tone. I think making the kart stage as more of an optional stage is probably the best way to go in this type of game, with maybe one or two essential kart stages in the final game, as I do feel they add a little extra to what's already here. What really stood out to me about Spark 3's level design was just how vast and open the levels were. The first main stage you'll play is Double Moon Villa, and boy, there is a lot to see here. You could easily breeze through the level and get a satisfying adrenaline rush doing so, or you could take your time to explore to see just how detailed and massive the level actually is. The amount of detail in these levels is astonishing for an action platformer indie game made by one person. You'll find Spark's species, known as Formies, just chilling around. You'll see litter and leaves sprinkled on the ground, and to encourage exploration, there are these medals scattered around most of the stages that will have you checking every nook and cranny for them. The levels in Spark 3 actually feel like breathing, living worlds with purpose to explore. Sonic is known for multiple paths that lead to the same area, and Spark 3 really maximizes the potential with having entire areas dedicated to exploring that rewards the player in different ways, such as having areas with lots of bits, which are the game's currency, or even collectible medals and such. Most of the time, if you see an area in the game, you can usually get there, and it challenges the player to use everything in their arsenal to do so, similar to Mario Odyssey, and that you are rewarded for being creative and exploring outside of what you think the game's boundaries are. The game does an exceptional job showing the player all the multiple paths while leaving it up to the player if they want to explore them or not. For example, in Lost Ravine, you could follow the linear path of grinding the rail to the end goal, or you could hop off and explore the top and bottom and left and right portions of the stage. Speaking of grinding, this is a new ability that has been implemented into Spark 3. While grinding has been in a lot of platformer games before, Spark 3 does it a bit differently, which rewards the player with high speed if done correctly. Essentially, you have a crouch button. If you crouch while going downhill, you'll pick up speed and maintain it in your session of rail riding. If you crouch while going uphill, you'll lose speed, so it works similar to a swing where you have to switch between tucking your legs in and extending them out. You can also rail switch, which feels a lot less tacky than the modern Sonic games. Instead of a single button press, you adjust your cursor to the rail you want to switch to, push the analog stick in that direction, and then hit the button. You can literally switch to any rail the cursor is on, and it feels a lot more developed than grinding in Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations. What also adds and changes up the gameplay are Spark's upgrades you can purchase from the in-game shop. Throughout each level, there are these little yellow things called bits. They act as the game's currency and allow you to purchase upgrades and new powers. From new combat moves to abilities that change what you can do in action stages, there seems like there'll be a lot of potential to the system without making it too broken, as only 4 abilities can be assigned at a time and require energy to use. I can see the shop really increasing the long-term playability and creating a speedrunning community, since the shop seems like it could drastically change how you tackle certain stages. Where I thought the game could improve on based on the demo was the combat system. For starters, fighting enemies feels a bit wonky and unresponsive at times. Parrying didn't feel like it always worked, as you could be facing an enemy and still get hurt no matter when you tried to parry. The warning sign color should also be changed, as you can only parry when the enemy flashes red. To me, red means warning, and it felt like that's when I should have been trying to get out of harm's way, whereas yellow or green felt like it was the right time to be pressing the parry button. Now, I don't know if it was my controller or not, but Spark 3 has a heavy attack button if you press the Y button, and for me it only worked half the time, and only if I held down the button. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it didn't always work for me, and I ended up not making hits at times when it felt like I should have. However, I do love the idea of the game switching to this arena type style of gameplay to fight enemies. I think with a bit more refinement to the combat system, it has potential to be equally as satisfying as keeping momentum in the action stages. I also hope that Lakefepard includes a stomp ability like in the modern Sonic games, or bounce ability like in Sonic Adventure 2. Some sort of ability that quickly sends Spark to the ground. Since Spark is a bit floaty, after coming down after a jump, you have a lot of hang time in the air, and I thought the pacing of the stages could have been faster with some ability to hit the ground sooner. I do love the hang time and control the player has during it, but for speedrunners and people who want the game to flow a bit faster, a stomp ability would be perfect. Also, taking fall damage in an action platformer game I don't think is the way to go. That shit needs to be removed. In summary, Spark 3 feels like a true successor to the Adventure series. A refinement, if you will. You can clearly see the inspiration. What I think Spark 3 does better than the Adventure series is reshape and add to the formula. From creating a variety of personalized stages that really captivates on Spark's various abilities, to rewarding the player for exploring these stages, Spark 3 feels very concise in the game that it's trying to be, and feels like a true refinement of the Adventure formula. Creating a world that seems inviting and accessible to casual players while rewarding those who want to go above and beyond seems like a really nice balance here. I'm extremely excited to see the final product of this game, and to be honest, this is one of the rare games that I really want to try and obtain everything to 100% the game. In fact, I tried to 100% the demo, but after a new update went out, I lost all of my progress and kinda just gave up. I definitely recommend this game to Sonic and platforming fans of all kinds. There seems to be a great variety in this game, and I'm excited for the future of it. But what do you guys think? Have you all played the Spark series at all? Are there any Sonic fans who have also played the demo? Let me know down in the comments below, and until then, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.